Yeah, now, you may want to step aside and let the guys come up to the front.
For more than 15 years, St. Mark's has been a proud sponsor of Boy Scout Troop 57 and Cub Scout Pack 157. Right now, the boys are preparing to lead us in worship on Scout Sunday, which we will celebrate on February 11th. These are some great guys. I got to hang out with them last Saturday as they walked through the service. They even gave me a short drumming lesson. They are an amazingly talented group of young people, and we are very proud of them. Over the years, virtually all of our scouts have gone on to college. Most have graduated, and more than a dozen of these young men have earned the rank of Eagle Scout. Now, that's mighty impressive. These young men are full of potential, but in all honesty, every child is. Unfortunately, however, they don't all know it. A few weeks ago, my family, like so many others, was horrified to hear the news of another school shooting. 2 teenagers were killed. At least 17 more were injured. And this time it happened in Benton, Kentucky, a place where my family once lived and where we still have so many dear friends and loved ones. It breaks our hearts to think of the pain that was inflicted on them. And we're so grateful for all the people and groups and churches who are working to bring healing and peace and comfort to that community. Unfortunately, this is not the first time that children have resorted to violence, and I'm afraid that it will not be the last. Each time it does happen, our instinct is to make sure that our loved ones are safe. But then we begin to ask questions and point fingers. How did it happen? Why did it happen? Who is to blame? But a student at Murray State University summed it up best when she said, "The kid who did this, he's just another hurting kid who did not get the help he deserved." I don't know the details of this particular situation. I'm not sure anyone does, or if we ever will. But I've been thinking a lot about all the hurting kids out there, the ones who've been told that they're not good enough because they're not like everybody else. I know what it's like to be picked on and made fun of. I got teased a lot as a kid because my eyes were crossed and I wore those great big Coke bottle glasses. I know what it's like to be different. And there are people in the world who make that a bad thing. But my mom made it okay. She loved me the way I was. In fact, she said that we're all different in one way or another, and that's a good thing. Unfortunately, there seem to be an awful lot of people in the world who have not gotten that message. I mean, we're all fighting. Muslims and Arabs and Christians and Jews and blacks and whites and Native Americans and Hispanics and North Koreans and South Koreans and men and women and Republicans and Democrats and liberals and conservatives. I mean, we are all fighting. We just cannot seem to get along. We're either trying to force everyone to think and do things our way, or else we're trying to wipe the other off the face of the planet. When it comes right down to it, much of the violence in the world has to do with the way we see each other. The book of Genesis tells us that God created the entire universe and everything in it. But human beings have been given a special place in the creation. It is we who bear the image of God. I mean, we're not God, but we are like God. We have some of the same characteristics that God has. And God is creative and intelligent and works in conjunction with other people, and we do too. So whether we realize it or not, we have a lot in common with God, and that makes us super special. Human beings are the best thing God ever made. You are the masterpiece in God's gallery. You are the crowning jewel in God's crown. You are the best of the best, the cream of the crop, the apple in God's eye. You are God's finest achievement. When God made you, God looked down and smiled and said, "Now that is good." In Psalm 8, the poet says, "I often think of the heavens your hands have made, and of the moon and stars you have put in place. And then I ask, why do you care about us humans? Why are you concerned for us weaklings? You have made us a little lower than you yourself, God, and you have crowned us with glory and honor." You made us a little lower than you yourself, God. We have been made in the image of God. And those words raise us up and put us just under the perfection of God. Well, that's good news. But it may be something of a revelation to be confronted with such a positive self-image. We don't usually think of ourselves this way. The confidence that the psalmist displays may be a little bit uncomfortable for us. I mean, it takes amazing confidence to compare yourself with things like celestial objects and the creator of the universe. You would think that a person who can do that has probably never known hardship, rejection, violence, right? Well, actually, I suspect the psalmist knew a lot about suffering. Just look at what he asks. Why does God care about us? Why is God concerned for us? Those are powerful questions, and I think they just may be the central questions of this text. I mean, why does God care for us? Why is God concerned for us? Well, personally, I think there is reason for God to be concerned. Recent events prove that to be true. The creation story in Genesis teaches us that every human being is created in the image of God. But we don't see that. We do not see God in ourselves, and we do not see God in our neighbors. We do not teach our children to see God in their own faces. And it is our responsibility. It is our responsibility as parents. It is our responsibility as citizens. It is our responsibility as the church. It is our responsibility to teach children to value life. It is our responsibility to teach children to treasure their own lives. And it is our responsibility to teach children to value the lives of other people. We must teach children to value themselves as persons of great worth. I mean, they are made in the very image of God. Each one is precious. Each one is special. Each one is sacred. And it is our duty to show them just how valuable they are. If they do not value their own lives, they are not likely to treasure any other life. A few years ago, I read Unbroken, which is the story of Louis Zamperini, an Olympic athlete who became a Japanese prisoner of war during World War II. The book includes some horrifying details about the abuse the prisoners suffered. Well, one reason the Japanese soldiers could treat the Allied prisoners so badly is that the Japanese people believed that they were superior to all other races. They had been taught to believe that Anglo-Saxons were beasts, devils, subhuman. They did not see God in their captives. When we do not see God in the people around us, it is easy to dismiss them. It is easy to ignore them. It's easy to hurt them. But Jesus tells us in Matthew 25 that we will be held accountable for the way we treat one another. When we mistreat one another, it's just like we are mistreating Jesus. When we make fun of people who are different from us, we are making fun of Jesus. When we take advantage of the weak, we are cheating Jesus. When we use ugly names for people, we are calling Jesus ugly names. When we yell at people, we are screaming at Jesus. When we hit people, we are throwing punches at Jesus. When we aim a gun at people, we are targeting Jesus. And God will judge us for it. God will hold us accountable. God will judge us for what we do and for what we refuse to do. And I think most of us dream of a world where all people can live together in peace. That will not happen until we can see God in every human face. I pray that happens soon.
Thank you, Pastor Joe. If you enjoyed today's message and found it meaningful, please watch for additional devotionals from Pastor Joe. We now know that many like yourself are watching all over the country. If you live in the Memphis area, and we invite you to worship with us at 10:30 each Sunday morning at 8255 Winchester in Memphis, Tennessee. St. Mark's United Methodist Church is a small church family. Come worship where everyone will know your name. Thank you.